I'm Maurice McDavid, host of Black, Brown, and Bilingue, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Coming up on episode 242 of the House of EdTech podcast, I am talking about how to use EdTech for project-based learning. I also want to know, are you really trying? And I've got some AI tools to talk about. Let's strike up the band. Welcome to the House of EdTech. My name is Chris Nessie. The House of EdTech launched in 2014, giving me the opportunity to speak with teachers, leaders, and creators so you can more effectively integrate technology, strengthen your pedagogy, and have more confidence in your classroom and school so you can make an impact. Get involved with the podcast by visiting my website, chrisnessie.com. Using technology isn't difficult, and this is where it begins. This is the House of EdTech. Welcome back. If you're a new listener, thanks for checking out the podcast. If you're a returning listener, glad you have returned for some more anytime, anywhere professional development. Ooh, spring is in the air, isn't it? This is fantastic. It's a good time to be a podcaster. It's a good time to make this episode because why not, right? Why not? A little bit of silence could be powerful. I'm not really sure. But I'm excited for this episode where I'm going to share some thoughts on EdTech and project-based learning. And I've got a really good EdTech thought. And wait till you hear about this AI tool. And there's a lot out there, and I've done episodes on some AI in the last couple of months. But this is really, really exciting stuff. Easy stuff. So let's dive right in. Let's get into the EdTech thought. The question I'm asking myself is, are you really trying? And I don't know that I am really trying. I have been an educator for almost 20 years, a podcaster for 10 years, and I don't know if I'm really trying. You might have asked yourself that question at some point as well, but I'm really not sure if I'm trying. Because I look around and I see and perceive what looks like a lot of people trying. And I wonder if, or really I doubt myself, if I am trying. Am I doing the best I can? Am I putting my all into everything? Or am I doing too much? I feel like I'm doing too much. I have a lot that I am responsible for. And I don't know if everything gets my best. I'm really doubting myself, because take this podcast, for example. This is not the only EdTech podcast out there, and if I'm the only EdTech podcast that you listen to, shame on you. There are lots of educators who are making EdTech related content and EdTech adjacent content. So I hope that I am not the only opinion you are listening to. Now, I know I have said in the past that if I would love it if all educators listened, and that hasn't changed. I am so full of myself that I think that a lot of educators could benefit from hearing my perspective. I think it's unique. I know it's unique. just like the perspective of every other podcaster out there, especially in the EdTech space. And when I look at that space, I can't help, I feel invisible. I know that you see me and you hear me, but I feel invisible. Because I'll be honest, I think I could be doing more to be seen and share my ideas and do the things to market and promote. But a lot of times those things feel icky. And I don't want to come off as someone who is self-promoting and self-serving. I've always imagined that if I did a good enough job, it would kind of happen. Like, if you build it, he will come kind of thing. Like, if I record it and publish it, people will listen. And I appreciate the fact that you listen. But I'm going to ask you, could you share it? Have you ever shared an episode of the podcast? Now, I know that there are people who on a regular basis share this podcast because actually, I don't know why people share it. I just kind of hope that they do. I hope that you do. Am I doing enough? Should I be doing webinars? Should I be doing more live streaming? Should I be blogging? Should I have written a book that was more than how to podcast? Should I be doing the show more frequently? Am I really trying? I don't know. I don't know. I like what I do. I like teaching. I like teaching at the high school. I like teaching at Rutgers. I like podcasting. I like doing the morning show. But am I doing enough? And am I giving these things my best effort? Most days, I think so. But here, as I'm recording this and I've set up the notes to record this particular episode, I don't know if I'm really trying. Are you really trying? Are any of us really trying? And what does it mean in the grand scheme of things? I don't know. This EdTech thought is kind of open-ended. Let me know. Reach out. Let's pick up something a little bit more positive than my EdTech thought as I attempt to come out of that funk and be a little more positive. And, you know, I like to think that I bring authenticity to the table as opposed to some of the other content that's out there. I'm putting it all out there. I don't know if I did that so much in the beginning, but here I am, authentic. I'm as Chris Nesi as it's going to get. Let's look into this recommendation. Okay. It's an AI tool. And I asked the question, are you tired of endless hours spent on lesson planning, grading, and providing feedback? I've been there. I'm sure you've been there as well. I want to recommend Brisk Teaching, B-R-I-S-K. They say that this is the ultimate time-saving Chrome extension designed specifically for you. Brisk Teaching is more than just a tool. It's an AI-powered assistant that seamlessly integrates with existing digital tools like Google Docs, Google Classroom, Canvas. With Brisk, you can effortlessly create personalized curricular materials, provide targeted feedback, and even inspect student writing with ease. Here are some of the key features. Number 1, you can create with Brisk. You can generate lesson plans, quizzes, and more with just a click. Actually, one of their newest features is to create Google slideshows based on maybe stuff in a Google Doc or from a web page. You can give feedback. You can choose from 4 feedback models to optimize student learning. And this is all AI powered, and a lot of this is free. You can pay for Brisk, but they're giving you a lot for nothing. One of the things you can do is you can inspect student writing. You can replay students' revision history so you can see if in a Google Doc they just pasted in massive blocks of text, or it'll play back like a movie, them typing and the words going through. It's really pretty slick. And it's got some AI writing detection. You can also create leveled resources. You can adjust reading levels for ELL and also special education support. Why should you check out Brisk? Well, it's AI driven, and if you're not on the AI train now, well, grab your ticket and let's go. You can tackle tasks with brilliance of endless time and brain power. It is educator-focused design. It is tailored to meet the unique challenges of teaching. It's always free for teachers, and like I said earlier, there is some cost to some of the AI-enhanced tools. Some of them. A lot of them are built in. So join thousands of creators who have already saved over 1 million hours with Brisk. It's a Chrome extension. You can download it today. I will put a link in the show notes to the Google Chrome web store, and you can discover the difference that Brisk can make in your professional life, and you can reclaim valuable time every single day. I've been playing with this for a couple of weeks. I have shared it with my colleagues, and I love it. Everybody's loving it. Go check out this Chrome extension. It's Brisk. Brings up the old Nestea commercials. It's Brisk, baby. But here's what it really is. My EdTech recommendation. Project-based learning is popular among educators for its ability to engage students in meaningful, real-world challenges. Unlike traditional learning methods, PBL puts students at the center of their learning experience, allowing them to explore complex questions, develop problem-solving skills, and collaborate with their peers to create tangible outcomes. But what happens when we integrate technology into this equation? The answer is simple. We supercharge the learning process. EdTech can provide students with access to numerous resources, encourage collaboration, and offer new ways to demonstrate their learning. Technology can make PBL more accessible, more dynamic, and more impactful. At its core, project-based learning is a teaching method where students aren't just passive learners. Instead, they're active participants, engaging in real-world and personally meaningful projects over an extended period of time. Picture a classroom where students are architects of their learning, exploring topics that resonate with them and applying what they learn to solve real-world problems. That's PBL in action. Now, you might be wondering, how does this differ from traditional teaching? Well, more traditional models often center around the teacher, with students expected to absorb information and reproduce it on tests. It's more about memorization and less about deep and meaningful understanding. PBL, on the other hand, is a complete shift. It's student-centered, so students take the lead. They become researchers, they become creators, and your students become problem solvers. Students are exploring complex questions and challenges they don't have easy black and white answers for. This challenges them to think critically, work collaboratively, and take ownership of their learning. Imagine a classroom where students are working on a project to design a sustainable community garden. They're not just learning about plant biology in a textbook. They're researching different plants, planning the garden layout, calculating budgets, and even presenting their proposals to the local town council. They're learning math, science, economics, and communication skills, all woven seamlessly into a project that they're genuinely invested in. This shift from teacher-centered to student-centered learning is what makes PBL so powerful. It's not just about acquiring knowledge. It's about applying that knowledge in a meaningful way. It's about preparing students for the world beyond school, where problem-solving, collaboration, and critical thinking are key. Speaking of collaboration, let's talk about collaboration and communication, two pillars of effective project-based learning. In a traditional classroom setting, collaboration might be limited to group discussions or shared assignments during school hours. But with technology, the possibilities for collaboration expand exponentially. Platforms like Google Workspace for Education, Microsoft Teams, this allows students to work together in real time regardless of their physical location. They can share documents, provide instant feedback, and even hold virtual meetings to discuss their project progress. This level of connection can ensure that every student can contribute their ideas and skills, making the learning more inclusive and more dynamic. But collaboration, that's just one piece of the puzzle. Access to information and resources is equally crucial in project-based learning. In the past, students might have been limited to textbooks or library materials for their research. However, digital platforms have opened up a world of information, whether it's through online databases, educational websites, or even virtual field trips. Your students can now gather data, explore different perspectives, and find inspiration for their projects in ways that were previously impossible. This access not only enriches their experience, but it also teaches them essential skills for navigating and evaluating digital information. When it comes to collaboration, we have to consider project management software. Tools like Trello, Asana, or Microsoft Teams, and even Google Docs can help students organize their tasks, set deadlines, and collaborate effectively. They can create digital spaces for different aspects of the project, assign tasks to team members, and track their progress. It's like having a digital command center for their project. Next, we have collaborative online platforms. Google is a fantastic example. We have Google Docs, Sheets, Slides, and they all allow students to work together in real time, no matter where they are. They can co-create documents, analyze data, and prepare presentations, all within a shared digital space. It's about breaking down the walls of the classroom and fostering this collaboration. Then, of course, there are multimedia tools, platforms like Canva or Flip, WeVideo. These tools empower students to express their ideas creatively. They can design graphics, create videos, or record podcasts to showcase their understanding of the project's topic. It's about giving students a voice and a choice in how they represent their learning. Now, how do we choose the right tools for our project? Here are some tips. Number one, you must align everything with your learning objectives. You have to ensure that the tool supports your project. If you're focusing on data analysis, a tool like Google Sheets might be more appropriate than video editing software. Number two, consider the age appropriateness. The tools that are available should be suitable for the age group of your students. It should have an intuitive interface and appropriate safety features. Number three, check for collaboration features. Since PBL is all about teamwork, you have to look for tools that facilitate collaboration. Features like real-time editing, commenting, and sharing are essential. Number four, evaluate accessibility. Ensure that the tool is accessible to all your students. It should work on various devices and platforms, as not all students may have access to the latest technology. Number five, you have to assess the cost and the privacy. Be mindful of any cost associated with a tool as well as its privacy policies. Many tools offer freemium versions for educators or even free versions, but make sure that they comply with your school's data privacy regulations. By carefully selecting the right tools, you can enhance the project-based learning experience for your students. You can provide them with a platform to collaborate, create, and showcase their learning in innovative ways. Empower your students to take their project to the next level. When we talk about integrating EdTech into PBL planning, we're looking at how we can use technology to support the learning process from start to finish. It's about creating a seamless blend of EdTech tools and educational strategies that empower students to explore, create, and reflect. Let's start by talking about the brainstorming stage. This is where the seeds of the project are planted. Technology can play a significant role here by providing platforms for collaborative idea generation. For example, you can use online mind mapping tools or collaborative whiteboards like Miro or Padlet. These tools allow students to work together in real time, regardless of their physical location, so they can brainstorm and organize their thoughts. Once a project idea is in place, students can move on to the research phase. This is where technology can really shine. Your students can use online databases, education websites, and digital libraries to gather information and consume that content as well. Tools like Google Scholar or the many online resources provided by libraries can be invaluable. Check with your school librarian. Additionally, you can introduce students to note-taking and citation management tools like Google Keep or Zotero. These can help them keep their research organized and ethical. As the project progresses, your students will need to collaborate and communicate regularly. Here, project management tools like Trello or Asana can be beneficial. These tools allow students to assign tasks, set deadlines, and track their progress. For communication, platforms like Slack, Microsoft Teams, GroupMe, and Discord, they can also facilitate discussion and file sharing. When it comes to the creation and presentation stages of the project, technology offers so many options. Students can use multimedia tools like those found in the Adobe Creative Cloud or Canva, or again, WeVideo, anything where students can create visually appealing presentations or digital artifacts. For more interactive projects, they might consider website builders like Wix, WordPress, or Blogger to create a project website, blog, or a portfolio. These platforms can provide students with a space to reflect on their learning journey, share their achievements, and receive feedback from peers and anyone who can access their content. Speaking of which, assessment and feedback, these are the backbone of any effective learning experience, especially in project-based learning. Because in PBL, students are actively engaged in these real-world projects. The traditional approach of summative assessment, where evaluation happens at the end of the project, this falls short in providing the necessary guidance and support that your students need throughout the learning journey. This is where formative assessment comes into play, and education technology can level up this ongoing process for you and for your students. Formative assessment in PBL is all about monitoring your students' progress, providing timely feedback, and adjusting the instruction as needed. It's a continuous loop of evaluation and improvement, rinse and repeat over and over again. The tech tools can streamline this process, making it more efficient for you and more impactful for your students. For example, digital portfolios are a fantastic way for students to showcase their work, reflect on their learning, and receive feedback from both teachers and their peers. Portfolios can include a range of multimedia elements, from written reports to videos and interactive presentations. All of this will provide a comprehensive view of a student's learning journey. And of course, online rubrics are another powerful tool for assessing PBL. They provide clear criteria for evaluation, ensuring consistency and transparency in grading. You can use rubrics to assess various aspects of a project, such as the quality of the research, the creativity, collaboration, and presentation skills. Rubrics can be shared, and students from the beginning will have a clear understanding of the expectations, which will allow them to self-assess and adjust their work and their performance accordingly. The beauty of using technology for assessment and feedback in PBL is that it allows for real-time tracking of your student progress. You as the teacher can easily monitor how each student is progressing. You can identify areas where they might be struggling, and you can provide specific and targeted feedback to help them overcome the challenges. This timely intervention can make a significant difference in the success of a project and their overall learning experience. The use of technology in assessment and feedback is about fostering a collaborative learning environment. Your students can engage in peer assessment. They can provide constructive feedback to their classmates. This not only helps them develop critical thinking and communication skills, but it also fosters a sense of community and shared responsibility for learning. At this point, it's important to acknowledge that this whole process isn't without its obstacles. Teachers who engage in PBL often face several challenges that hinder their seamless incorporation into their classroom and the learning. One of the most common hurdles when we talk about integrating technology into PBL is limited access to the tech. In too many schools, especially those in under-resourced areas, there might not be enough devices for every student, or the availability of technology might be outdated. This can create a significant barrier to implementing tech-driven projects effectively. Another challenge is the lack of training and professional development for teachers. Integrating technology into teaching requires more than just basic tech skills. I've been talking about it for 241 episodes, in some way, shape, or form. You need professional development. Without proper training, you're going to feel overwhelmed and you're going to be hesitant to incorporate new technology into the classroom. But maybe listening to this podcast helps or will help. What's another way that we can overcome these challenges? One approach is to leverage free or low-cost tools. There are countless open-source platforms and educational resources available online that can be utilized without straining the school budget. Tools like Google for Education, obviously we have that entire suite of applications, and that supports various aspects of project-based learning, from research, documentation, communication, and presenting. And a lot of that can be at no cost. Also, seeking professional development opportunities is another important strategy. You should be encouraged to participate in workshops, attend online courses, read the books, go to the conferences. These learning experiences will provide you with the necessary skills and elevate your confidence, especially when it comes to using tech tools in these projects. Also, your school can facilitate in-house sessions. If you're doing PBL already, offer to run a PBL PD workshop in your school or in your district. Find out who else is doing these things. Share the knowledge and share those best practices with your colleagues. This all goes back to fostering a growth mindset among educators and how important that is. You as a teacher should be encouraged to view challenges as opportunities for growth and learning. Do you not also expect that of your students? When you adopt a positive attitude towards the tech integration, towards things like PBL, you can become more open to experimenting with new tools and new approaches. If you're not, what are you still doing? As I wrap up today's discussion, let's take a moment to reflect on the key points that I bring up. Number one, project-based learning is a dynamic approach that puts your students at the center of their learning. When we integrate EdTech into PBL, this will significantly enhance the learning. This will provide students with access to resources, collaboration opportunities, and a very diverse way of expressing their creativity and their understanding. Number two, throughout this episode, I talked about various aspects of technology inside of PBL, from selecting the right tools that align with educational goals to integrating technology into the different stages of a project. I'm pretty sure I emphasized the importance of planning and designing a PBL experience that leverages technology effectively, so that way you ensure that it serves to deepen the understanding and the engagement rather than being a distraction. And of course, assessment and feedback are crucial components of the PBL experience. And I talked about how EdTech can facilitate ongoing evaluation and providing timely feedback for students. We also talked a little bit about the hurdles. Now, overcoming these hurdles, it definitely requires creativity, resourcefulness, and of course, a commitment to continuous learning and adapting. I encourage you to embrace the opportunities that not only does PBL offer, but how you can bring in technology to make PBL that much more powerful. Most importantly, I want to hear your stories. Whether you've tried this and it worked, or you've been doing it for many years, I'd love to hear about it. If you share with me, I can share it here on a future episode. So you'll not only enrich your teaching practice by sharing with me and help me out, but now I will help and share it all around the world through the podcast. So please send me an email, feedback@chrisnesi.com, or go to the website, chrisnesi.com/feedback, and you can submit a voicemail, send me an email, etc., and we can connect, and I can share your stories on a future episode. And now it's time for the Just Give It a Try, and I've got a bonus recommendation for you. If you're frustrated by copying and pasting from AI tools like ChatGPT, and when you do so, the formatting is horrendous, and you don't want to have to reformat everything, well, I've started asking ChatGPT, for example, to create documents which will format the output. And if I use the copy button within ChatGPT, it will allow me to paste in what's known as Markdown. Now, Markdown also isn't pretty, but Markdown can be interpreted. And I found a Google Docs add-on that will read Markdown formatting and translate it into more traditional formatting like bold and italicized and bulleted and numbered lists. The add-on is called Markdown to Docs. I will include a link to it in the show notes for this episode out at chrisnesi.com/242, and this might help with some of the frustration you experience when you try to copy and paste things out of an AI large language model tool, for example, ChatGPT. So it is Markdown to Docs. Check it out. Just give it a try. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the House of EdTech podcast. If you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe or follow the podcast where you're listening right now so you can continue to make it a part of your anytime, anywhere professional development. To get the most out of the House of EdTech, be sure to check out the show notes for this episode. You'll find links to all the resources that I talked about, and just go to chrisnesi.com/242. And that's CHRISNESI.com. I want to let you know that I genuinely enjoy hearing from you, and I value your feedback and your perspectives. I would like to get more feedback on the podcast, whether it's emails, voicemails, ratings and reviews. I've been saying it every episode for 242 episodes. But I see podcasts that could care less about you as a listener, and they get ratings, reviews, and email and voicemail, and they don't even ask for it. I want it, and I can't get it. So please, I beg you, email me, send me a voicemail. Let's get in touch. All right? That would greatly help me out. Put a little gas in my tank. Because ultimately, your input will help me create better content. Maybe through conversation, you might make a great guest but I have no idea you exist. So let's chat. Also, if you know somebody who would benefit from listening to the podcast, share it out. Spread the word on social media. Tag me at Mr. Nessie. Tag at House of EdTech. Use the hashtag House of EdTech. Your efforts will help me reach a wider audience, and that's going to help more people get value from the show. I want to thank you in advance for helping me expand the reach of the podcast. And the last thing I'm going to ask is I invite you to become an awesome supporter. If you get value from the content, you might want to support the show. I'm incredibly grateful for the ongoing support from the following people. Thank you to Leo Calbush, Jeff Herb, Peggy George, Mike Messner, Matt Miller, Brian Carpenter, and Aaron Cummings. If you find value in the podcast, go to chrisnessie.com/awesome. Your generosity will go a long way in helping me continue to deliver the content you come to expect on the House of EdTech. The next episode will be episode 243, and that's going to come your way on St. Patrick's Day. Until next time, thanks for learning with me, and remember, using technology isn't difficult. Just give it a try.